All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Now Teslify FSD version 12.5.4.2. We're getting a lot of these point releases here on the 12.5.4 series with Hardware 3. So, first, a quick commitment to everybody here watching. Thank you so much, one, for watching and stopping by. Appreciate all of you. If you haven't, definitely please like, share, and subscribe. Ask questions and comments, etc. Again, it's free and it really helps my channel grow. I appreciate you. And speaking of that, got a few brand new subs to shout out. I've got Brat Kovabunga and Beth Dunn. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you want to shout out, just simply subscribe and I will shout you out my next video. Okay, all that said, we're going on our first test drive with this version. And my commitment to you is that I will be your source for Hardware 3 specific FSD updates. So if you are in what everybody is saying the majority, then you will want to check out my FSD videos. I will record and post them as soon as possible so you guys can get a preview of what you might be getting, or if you just want to check the progress of my test route, which we are going on first. So this is my first drive on test loop 1. You can check out, of course, all my other drives in my other videos. Just simply check out my FSD playlist. Okay, super timid. It should just go. Nobody waiting. Okay. So I'm not sure why it stopped there. Maybe it was like, seemed like it was afraid of that cross traffic, but it had a stop sign as well. That is not something I've encountered before. But it is what it is. So Hardware 3 is in a really weird spot. Oh, and if you are new, you don't have a Tesla yet, definitely ask questions about FSD. I'm more than happy to answer them. And then also, it's highly likely that the EV credits are going away sometime next year, if not at the beginning of this year. Okay, good. Unprotected left. It's still jumping out into the outermost lane, which I would rather it not, but it did. EV credits going away next year, possibly. So now is really the best time to buy a new Tesla. And no reason to stop. We've got a yield. I'm not going to intervene, but it should definitely just go. Okay, so we're getting some weird kind of jerkiness here, maybe some hesitation with some of these interactions. Again, that was a yield. It should just been able to roll right through slowly. And I have actually on this 12.4 series, it has not actually rolled through that at all. It pretty much wants to stop there every time. Anyway, EV credits going away. Now's the best time to buy a Tesla. Definitely use my link below to save $1,000 off, and right now there's also 0% deals of APR. There are crazy prices on used inventory, not used inventory, but existing inventory. But you probably can find a good deal on used inventory as well. So, and in Washington State, there's actually some of the best credits that just for whatever reason they don't actually appear on the order page, so you can place your order and also contact this your service advisor as soon as you get assigned one, and make sure that you're getting all the benefits. You could qualify for as low as like $100 a month lease with a Model Y, brand new Model Y rear wheel drive. There is a way to do it. I think your income has to be like below $90,000 a year or something to qualify for that low, but it's crazy for like a 3-year lease. And then also just really great prices on Teslas now, and FSD is like low. Though, when I first bought it, it was very much, they kept saying, buy it now, it's only going to increase as it improves, and we've basically seen the opposite. So it has gone down as it has gotten better. At any rate, I am lucky enough to be able to have experienced FSD for the last 3 years and see it grow, which has been incredible. 12.5.4.1 has certainly been the best version I have used of FSD to date. especially hands-free, is super, super nice. And some of the other just general, I just barely have to do anything these days. It's still not flawless, and we're going to find out real quick. I've got a couple of spots where, well, one in particular that's going to be coming up here as we come across the bridge. Back across the bridge, that is the one last piece. Wow, that's like 4 sheriffs going that direction, which is, they usually come across that road, but I don't know, that's weird. Whoa, slight brake there, phantom braking for the yield. I'm not entirely sure why. Definitely did not need to do that. Blinker was still on, then I decided to not do that, so luckily the guy behind me was not super close, but he probably still didn't like the brake check. So some phantom braking, that's not good. The other thing that I can definitely say is that these versions, when they're first released, although this has been out now for a smaller group of folks for a few days, when they're first released, they still have lots of high strangeness going on that does seem to polish out after a week or so. So these first drives are usually the worst they're going to be. And what I look for, especially from one version to the next, is actually more of the major improvements at this point. And we can get some of these really small point releases. So what I mean by point releases is we're on 12.5.4.2, and you can see a lot of polish that happens between like 12.5.4, and then they added .1. That one was a very good improvement over 12.5.4, and so this 12.5.4.2 could actually also be another big improvement. The other thing I haven't seen yet, haven't actually been paying attention to, but we should have much smoother cars visualization, and now that I'm actually paying attention to it, it does look like they are indeed smoother than they have been before. Usually it looked like maybe they'd be like much lower frame rate and kind of like jump across the screen, but those look like they're nice and smooth. We saw Hardware 4 owners get this treatment with the 12.5.6 version, which, boy, we would sure love to have some of that 12.5.6 end-to-end highway goodness, but I'll actually take these nice smooth, and it looks like the vehicles on the road especially are more smooth than perhaps other items. Okay, so a little bit of a slowdown there for no reason. It didn't need to slow down for that interaction. Traffic wasn't moving. They didn't look like they were moving from what I could tell. And that's old stuff we used to see, like in old, since 12.5 especially it confidently blazes past some of those cars waiting at intersections. So that's a bit strange. We'll be coming up here to what I have called for the last 3 years my Pybus challenge. Has largely been solved, but it's always good to just retest it. Essentially what happens is we get down here to Orondo Street, we take a right. At the bottom of the hill is Pybus Market across the train tracks, and there's a right turn only lane. In previous versions, it always wanted to get into that right turn lane, but then continue straight to get to the market. So now we're choosing the middle lane, which is non-existent. So I have seen some of that behavior in other versions as well, as why can't it just actually just get into the first lane and move over? So I've noticed that in 12.5.4 series especially. This weird like lane selection. So we are gonna, oh, it's making a right. Ooh, this is no good. So again, as I was just saying, we typically solve the Pybus challenge, but unfortunately, it looks like we have failed it. So that is unfortunate. I will take another stab at that, but jeez, I had 0 problems with that for the last several versions. And now we're back at it. And I forgot to do a voice note. So that's super frustrating. It should 100% not do that anymore. And it was in the right lane, so the correct lane, I should say. But so that is the Pybus challenge. Again, still apparently needed and need to be tested, because for some reason it simply cannot. It cannot make that a consistent lane decision. I don't understand. I have seen new map data coming up, but I don't believe I received that map data update. Navigation data 24.8. I don't think that's the latest version. Although I really haven't looked. So I would have to see to find out whether or not that is the latest version. I heard it was actually fairly large, but usually at 2024.8, I think that means August, and this new one just came out. So I don't know. All right, so we've got a free right here. Since we're going to loop back and try this one more time, I generally don't do this, although I have the last couple times it failed. So I always like to try and give it one more, well, I shouldn't say I always, I'm going to try and give it one more attempt at choosing the correct path, but I had plenty of time to think about it, had plenty of time to make the right decision. But looks like it's still an issue. So again, that lane is a right turn only, and it wants to go straight instead of taking a right turn. This time, if it happens to get into that lane, and I will see. It looked like it was going to go straight from that right lane, even though again it's a right turn only. Okay, so a little bit slower this time. And getting into the rightmost lane and making a turn to the left. Okay, so I have also noticed that, like, if the car approaches an intersection that it needs to go through, or a turn it needs to make at a much lower speed, it's going to pick the correct lane. Again, giving it more time to make that decision, right? That makes sense. And now, see, we're having to wait for all these cars, and then we're going to get stuck at this yellow light. So I guess that was a good interaction, as far as, like, that's generally why people would get in the right-hand lane, and then the next block make the move over to the left, because we've got these cars making their left onto the avenue here. And now we're stuck at the light. So from a speed perspective, or a hurry-up perspective, that would have been the right move. But if it's not going to be able to make those short time decisions in order to get into the correct lane, then that's an issue. So the other thing I think that's going to make this a pass on the second attempt is we've got a car in the right-hand lane, or we did. Looks like it moved, and now we should go. Yes, it is our turn. Okay, so second attempt through, it was fine, but again, I really think I'm going to attribute that to it taking that right onto a rondo very slowly. And we'll let it go into the market parking lot. Okay, we're re-engaged. I'll probably cut all that out. So again, that's disappointing there. Gosh. So already 12.5.4.1, at least on its first attempt, nailed successfully, without intervention, did pass my test loop 1. It wasn't pretty, but it did it. So definitely check out that video. I'll put that link up here so you can compare. And then I've got one other spot on the bridge coming home, which is the main issue when it apparently hasn't regressed to failing the Pybus challenge. It's a pretty critical one, actually. You know, again, having the car be in a right turn only lane, but still want to go straight. And there isn't actually even a lane for it to go in, so it would be cutting off somebody in that left lane. So that's, it's strange at this point with how well the system has done. That would not be Robotaxi ready. Now, we would have to like see what it would do if there was a car in the left lane next to me. There was a bit of a jitter there in the left turn that wasn't super comfortable. Yeah, look how smooth those cars are, though. So the visualization looks like that's been improved. I don't know if we saw some other... So far, I haven't really... Seems like maybe a few slight regressions as far as the drive smoothness. We'll see. Again, it's one of those things that even I mentioned at the beginning can get polished out within a couple of weeks, even. You know, the first few days can be kind of rough. Alright, so on the cloverleaf here, it usually goes unfortunately too slow here. We should definitely move up to 30. And then we'll see if... Oh man, it's really slow. We need to get up to 40 here. And we're joining traffic, we're not merging. Yeah, it's so slow. That was very painful, and now we're just slowly moving back up. Alright, so this is the next challenge. We need to be in the center of this exit. So there are 3 lanes, one that kind of goes slightly left. This right lane goes all the way right, and this one you can choose to stick to the right of the dotted lines, and nope, it's not going to make it. I might, and it was going slow enough where it should have been able to do it. So there is disengagement number 2. Again, that's the other big part of this loop and why I do it. Those 2 spots, boy, that's just... So, it's like sometimes it gets it, sometimes it hasn't. I had a time this last week where it had not only a follow me car, but also it was going slow and it chose the right spot. So, and I forgot to leave a voice note. So I'll have to go back and do that again. That is unfortunate. And always something I'm concerned about. I was like, man, why can't we polish out some of those things? And it's, you know, clearly not a challenging thing. There are certainly more spots in the entire United States that are way more complicated, including the, you know, Bay Area and LA, where, you know, there are some probably super complex interactions in intersections, and it just... seems that, you know, obviously was able to do those just fine, but I have a hard time believing that my 2 scenarios in this test drive are unique. If you've made it to this point in the video, I definitely like to know, do you have similar interactions in your town? Do you have like a cloverleaf off-ramp that has kind of this you can choose to take an outer edge lane or the inner edge that is 2 different routes? Do you have a right turn only that merges in, you know, that the left lane goes into its own lane straight and the right lane, you know, has to turn right? Clearly there was even a parked Model Y, if I'm not mistaken, that was in what would have been my lane if it went forward, if it kept going straight. So there was clearly an obstruction, even a Tesla for that matter, and it just didn't seem to care. Apologize for all the crap moving around in my car. I jumped in quite quickly, and all my family's garbage is just all over the floor. Another life struggle when you have family always wants to take the sweet Tesla, yet they don't give a shit about keeping it clean. That's my struggle. Even though my son loves the car, he is the worst offender of keeping it clean. And interestingly enough, it rarely takes this route. Usually we go back the way we came down. I think it's 11th Street over there. But instead we chose this other path. So there you have it. No interventions as far as like a accelerator press or something else, but two of my critical disengagements that are the main reasons why I still keep going down this loop. They continually are an issue, and that's unfortunate. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate you. And yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments. If you got it, what are your experiences? If you have other questions, thoughts, let me know. And yeah, definitely like, comment, and subscribe. They're free and they help out the channel so much. Thank you all for watching. Now Tesla 5.